Hi everyone, I'd like to talk a little bit about some guitar technique. Rasgueado, strumming, is typical in Baroque guitar styles as well as in flamenco. It even finds its way into classical guitar in some ways. It differs quite a bit actually from what guitarists in I suppose the sort of more modern American scene are used to, as far as strumming with a pick, or even some of the finger style techniques that are used in popular guitar styles here in the U.S. So the bulk of what I'm about to show you comes straight from a wonderful publication called Hispanica Lira in Spanish. It is the publication of La Sociedad de la Vihuela, el Laúd y la Guitarra, the Society of the Vihuela, Lute, and Guitar. They're based in Spain, so a wonderful academic society. I like to sort of promote them as much as possible. I'm a member, and I'm looking to work with them more and more in the coming months and years here, doing research and perhaps even translating some articles if that happens. Now, so the point of Rasgueado here, well, in 3 recent issues of this journal, we have 3 different basic techniques. So I'll go through those. I don't want to forget this actually, but before I do, it's important to realize that this is very typical of what we think of as Spanish guitar, though it's worth looking into the potential antecedents to this, the potential sort of precursors, the pretext to all of this strumming technique. I was recently in Phoenix, Arizona, at the Musical Instrument Museum. It's called the MIM. They're online and they're out there. A very renowned museum, wonderful place. I was doing a bit of, call it photo research, or just kind of perusing a specific set of musical instruments there, and I hope to do some maybe blogging or an article of some sort on what I found there. Very interesting stuff. I was quite blown away. Didn't know quite to expect, but when the first thing I saw, my basic trajectory was to start from where the lute is historically understood to have started in Iraq, in Sumer. So I start there. I'm watching. They have sort of the video accompaniment to the actual instruments, and a few notes on the instruments, their luthery origins and so on, but sort of the builder and whatnot. But there I see this Iraqi ensemble, several lute type instruments, and I couldn't help but notice this very typical flamenco type strumming technique. Not with a plectrum, as many of the the oud and the rabab, many of the more kind of I guess quintessential, or at least very popular Middle Eastern and Near Asian, Central Asian lute instruments. They're played with the pick and or plectrum. But here's this fellow strumming an Iraqi lute of some sort. And I couldn't help but question, so would that be historically prior to Spanish, what we call Spanish strumming style? And so I'm looking more into that as part of this this research at Musical Instrument Museum in Phoenix. So thanks so much to them, and thanks so much as well, obviously to La Sociedad de la Vihuela, el Laúd y la Guitarra. The basic premise, here I see this this fellow strumming away. The downstroke with the index finger was very typical. I noticed that straight away. This downstroke, and I couldn't quite tell. I have to review some other footage. What the upstroke was like. Maybe it was a down and up, just with the index finger. I have talked about similar techniques in other videos. In that case, on a single string, up and down a single string. To get straight into the material presented in the journal, the journal from Spain, the first technique is, I believe, called base, or sort of the base technique, and it consists of a downstroke with the index finger. It could be other fingers, but for now, let's think about the index finger, and a simple upstroke with the thumb. Notice how stationary my hand is. It doesn't really kind of move as you would see, maybe a rock or whatever sort of genre you want to throw out there, popular guitars, etc. They have this sort of full body motion. Perhaps it's not necessary. Perhaps all we need is this little kind of turn of the wrist. So essentially, the primary sort of the primary motor, if you want to call it that, of the downstroke with the index finger is opening the hand. Right? You can do it fast, you can do it slow. Downstroke with the index finger. Then the upstroke with the thumb, you're sort of opening your thumb as well, but there's also a turn of the arm, of the wrist, and the sort of the elbow. This forearm turns. It supinates, it pronates and opens. It supinates off of the thumb. This is the base, the base technique. There's much more to this in the journal. I'm giving you a brief overview as just sort of a summary here, a bit of a shout out. There's much more to this, exercises and more history. These are the basic techniques. And I'll summarize them, sort of summarize my own exposition as I wrap up here. The three-part technique, it's often performed in a triplet rhythm, 3 equal parts. It's a down with the index finger, and then a down with the thumb. Actually, it's not down and up, it's down, down, up. So we've opened. As you open that hand to strike, in the process of strumming with the index finger, you leave the thumb behind a little bit and then brush down with the thumb. So if you see, I open up, my thumb's still up here, and I can then sweep down with the thumb. That sort of thing. Remember, it's 3 separate articulations here. I forget what the name. This may be called the trino, or the. I just think it as a triplet. We can say whatever we want to sort of identify it, but it's generally 3 equal strokes. You can do separated, It's a very typical rhythm in this sort of earlier Spanish music. This down, down, up, down with the index finger, down with the thumb, and then of course, as I've said, we roll back with the thumb on the upstroke. Yeah, good. So there's one more, and as I sort of complete the exposition on this last one, I'll just give a summary of sort of the possible components of these techniques. The applications are varied and many. Lots of flamenco stylists are doing these. Even South American guitarists, Yamanu Costa, several others this day and age. It tends to be derived from this sort of Spanish lineage or Spanish Portuguese speaking lineage. but there's more work to be done with this for sure. So I'm interested in hearing your ideas. I'm giving you a bit of the sort of, as I say, the raw materials here. So basse, down up, down with the index finger, up with the thumb. Triplet, or whatever you want to sort of name it. Down, down, up. Down with the index finger, down with the index finger, down, up with the thumb. The third one, I've adapted it to my preferences a little bit. The basic idea is that it's a long, short, rhythmic, you know, sort of profile. Yun da da dun da da dun da da dun da da dun. This is pretty difficult. I've just sort of, you know, gained some proficiency in this one. We have the down with the index finger to begin with. We have the up with the thumb, just like in the basse. So it's down, up, down, and then. This is an important component of this whole sort of world of technique, that we strum down, but not with the index finger, rather with the middle. And so we have to really separate our fingers, middle, index, right? Down, 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 up, down, down. And this rounds out the three techniques, sort of as they're presented in Hispánica Lira, sort of generalizations or summaries of them. Again, there's more detail there. Wonderful publication. I highly recommend it. In fact, if you're an English speaker and you don't read Spanish, let me know if you're interested in this, because I'm as I say, I'm working on, I'm kind of drumming up some ideas as far as how to work with the society a little more. English transitions in English perhaps would be, you know, a nice service to offer. So that's something that I'd like to hear more about. Down, up, and so really we've seen these techniques before, except for the introduction of the middle finger to strum down. Down, up, down. We already have the down with the index. And the up with the thumb. Those are familiar to us from the previous two sort of types, the basse and the triplet. But this introduces an important aspect of this whole thing. We can do sort of these trills with the fingers, whether it be 1, 2, 3, right? Ring, middle, index, 1, 2, 3, or just da-dun, right? Index, middle, or even the meñique, right? The C finger, the pinky. 1, 2, 3, 4. We get this successive, you know, attack. 1, 2, 3, 4. You could apply this in so many different ways that I just don't want to get rid of that quite yet. But the basic sort of component here, the new part of this is down, down with a middle and index. So again, down. Just small tidbits of, you know, this technique. So let's just summarize. We have a down with the index and up with the thumb. Notice you're going to be using the nail side of your finger for both of these in the basse, right? So we have nail and nail, down, up. Gives a bit of continuity to the sound. Down, up. The triplet introduces the tip side of the finger as you come down with the thumb. So you have down, down, up, down, down, up. Presumably a bit softer sound with more flesh here on the finger, but those things can be kind of altered and customized as you see fit. With the third technique, I honestly forget the name of this one. And it's a bit less conducive to name, because you can call it long, short if you'd like, right? We don't have any new techniques. We only have a down with the index finger. We don't have any. How should I say this? we get a new component, but what we don't get is actually more important. I'll explain that in a second. So down, up. We have that, and then down again. What gets left out is some sort of upstroke with the fingers, and that would be that would provide tonal continuity if you have a downstroke with the thumb. So if you go down, up, sort of a softer, more the sound produced with the flesh side of the finger. So that's just one thing that's, you know, if you want to call it left out or just not included. Not exactly sort of forgotten, but it doesn't form part of this this exposition of the rasgueado techniques in Hispánica Lira. So, and that can broaden the possibilities here if you want to go down, down. Try this. This is sort of a synthesis of these, right? So if I go down, down with the index, down with the thumb, and then up with the index, that's the new part. That's sort of the missing link, if you want to call it. Down, down, up. What I'm doing there is down, index, up thumb, up index, and then down middle. Down, down, up. No, sorry. Down, down, up, down, 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 up, down. This third stroke, this upstroke with the index is the new sort of component. Let's see. Yeah, that works. Yeah, that works, right? The application of this, as I say, is varied. It could form kind of the backbone rhythmically of your music. Kind of identify the pervading rhythm, the ostinato, or as is often done in flamenco, these things are used for what they call the remate, right? This sort of slight punctuation rhythmically. Right, this sort of drawing it all to a close, but yes, it does. This technique does sort of form a central part of flamenco guitar. There are many more to talk about, but this is not the place. So in general, I like to present these as, you know, resources for any guitarist, right, or any lutenist or any rebob player or anything. Sort of these ideas of strumming and bringing more strings into the mix. And so that's what I'd like to share for today. Thanks so much for listening. Hope that this serves you well, and it'd be great to hear any feedback that you have. Okay, thanks so much.